But anyway, so for today's episode, we are going to be talking about the only way to put it is really the future of Xbox. Because during our break week, there was the shit show that was, with all the reports that like Xbox was giving up on their hardware essentially, and like Starfield's going to PlayStation, Indiana Jones going to PlayStation, all Halo's going to PlayStation. It was a shit show. And then they had the official Xbox podcast the other day where they talked about it in detail and in a surprising plot twist.
It was a good show. John's
the one that listened to it.
It was an interesting podcast, actually.
I did not.
I didn't know it was a thing until they mentioned it today.
See, normally, I'm the one that does my homework on this, and these guys just show up and they just react and just have a good time. John's the one that listened to it. I'm impressed. What a plot twist!
It's actually a fun show.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Then we have the reports about the Switch 2 being delayed into Q1 2025. I'm looking forward to chatting about that one because this is something that I called back in the prediction episode. So we're gonna circle back to that, and then I got in the weekly wrap up, but it's of course on the title of just how Embracer Group is basically still completely burning to the ground right now. With everything that they've been canceling and just all the job cuts and everything. So we're going to be diving into that. And really whatever else, we've been off for a week. Whatever else we want to chat about, what we've been up to. Loads more in the weekly wrap-up. It's going to be a fun time. All right, boys. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's jump into things. Let's jump into the future of Xbox. Like I said, last week, all these reports came out that Xbox is basically giving up on exclusivity stuff, moving a lot of games to being multi-plat, whatever. And I will say some of it, I still think could be a possibility down the line. Like, it wouldn't shock me, let's say, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, Starfield goes to PlayStation. Like that, something like that wouldn't shock me. Maybe a few years from now, Indiana Jones does. But I think for the most part, these first-party games, they're going to be very hard, first-party exclusive for many years before they would ever even consider going elsewhere. And just with the Xbox podcast, before John can maybe kind of talk about it, in a lot more detail than I can with my notes. Like, I know some things, like Phil Spencer said, is like, I think we would be stupid to not consider that possibility, in some form down the line, which is fair, in the gaming industry, stay open-minded, whatever, and just, consider things down the line, whatever. But, there are apparently 4 games going to multi-plat, and based on all the reports I've seen, it's going to be like Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, and Grounded. Those make sense, honestly, especially 2 of them being multiplayer games. Those make perfect sense.
Well, at the end of the day, just kind of leading off with it, based on everything they said during that podcast, and I think they even said during the podcast, like moving forward, there's no major changes happening to any like their plans or anything. It's like they're just realizing kind of the times that we're in. And that they can't, or like all of their games just being exclusive on Xbox, not going to work. Right. Or it's like not going to work as well. But yeah, as far as game, because the question was asked, what were the considerations for like games that they went to pick? And kind of what they said was games that were at least a year old. Of the initial games at least a year old, games that kind of had a community around them and were kind of community driven, and I think it was part of it was like they also looked at games that had like kind of an early access period,
right?
But yeah, it was like that. That's why like some things like Sea of Thieves, Grounded, that's why those are in there. Then they talked about game. The other thing they said was games that were only on Xbox that had reached their peak, and games that could no longer grow while only being on Xbox. Mm-hmm. That's why like Hi-Fi Rush is on there, or people are considering it because it's pretty much reached everyone it's going to reach on Xbox.
Yeah, and that one is honestly like. For these 4 games, there was a lot of reports saying that these 4 were the 4, but for Hi-Fi Rush, that one's beyond like locked in because like there was data mining leaks showing like different graphics and images like in game that was very heavily indicating, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation. So like that one's locked, which makes sense because I mean the way they described, the way you're putting it is so accurate of a game like Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush. They've reached their ceiling on Xbox.
That's one thing they stressed because they kept kind of asking, hey, what are these 4 games going to be? And they kept going, we're not going to tell you what the games are, but here's what we looked at.
Here's the guidelines.
Here's what we looked at, and here's how we picked them. And that's why, like, even as I was here to say it, I'm like, okay, yeah, probably Sea of Thieves. Yeah. And then I saw Grounded later, and I went, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Just because, yeah, I mean, those games you put them on other consoles, and they're probably gonna do just as well on Xbox, maybe better.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you can definitely see that with Grounded and Sea of Thieves having been on PC, how they've done on that platform. True.
So, yeah, one of kind of just besides like the games that they were talking about is, I think they've said it before, but like going forward, all big first party games and stuff will be coming to Game Pass day one.
Yeah, that's something they've confirmed is still a thing.
Yeah, they've said it before, but we haven't heard it in a while. We just see Game Pass on every trailer.
Yeah.
So they did reiterate that. And then the other big thing that they were pushing going forward is their like play anywhere, buy it once or whatever, and be able to play it on console, PC, cloud, anywhere that you can access your Xbox account. Mm-hmm. Being able to play it there, and that being like one of their big kind of pillars behind their plan going forward is like not just the game being there, but your save data and everything being able to transfer. So if you're playing on your console and move over to your PC, all of your stuff is still there.
Right.
It's like kind of emphasizing that's a big cornerstone of how they want to do it.
Yeah.
And then all their console talk, which going into the podcast, it sounded like hardware was going to be something they didn't care about anymore. They dealt with that pretty quick. They're like, no, the cornerstone of Xbox isn't just our branding. It's not Game Pass. It's the hardware. And the reasoning they gave for it, pretty straightforward, actually. Because if we want to have Xbox games, or it's like developers, if we want them to be on Xbox and we want people to play on Xbox, having a console where we can just give them, or like having the hardware where we can say, hey, make it for these specs, and it'll play on anything that you could ever want to play an Xbox game on. That's pretty much what it boiled down to, is having the hardware makes it so any developer or anything out there, they can just give them the spec sheet and go, if you make it for this, it'll run perfectly on Xbox. And that was kind of the whole argument for it, which honestly makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And it's like, because at this point with Game Pass, which they did say 34 million users, incredible number.
Yep.
But yeah, with like Game Pass and that, yeah, you can have Game Pass and it's like you can access it on different computers and that. But at the end of the day, they got to have a target to make the games for.
Yeah.
So make your console. Your console's not, at this point, the console's not really what they're selling.
Right.
It's just the way to access their games.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's kind of what they're viewing it as.
Right. And I feel like all the reports that like came out last week, I honestly feel like that was just like one person that just somehow, some way got the report out there in the right kind of trolly way, and everyone just kind of ran with it.
Yeah.
Because like you look at the big picture, right? We saw the massive Xbox leak where it basically like leaked out like all future hardware plans. Now, granted, Phil came out and said a lot of those plans have changed, whatever. Have they though? We'll see. Well, it's like you do that, you go through this like year-plus process to buy Activision Blizzard, and you're going to tell me that between when the deal of Activision Blizzard got finalized, within the last few months, something random happened that was so catastrophic where everyone's just like, "Whoa, Xbox is done, guys. We can't. We're done. Everything's going multi." Like that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. And I also saw with the podcast, whatever, they detailed that like refreshing new hardware set to come out like this holiday, and they're talking about the next console where it's going to be the biggest technical leap ever.
Well,
so that's pretty fascinating.
Well, it's unsure based on the phrasing and the context and when they were talking about it if the biggest technical leap is going to be this mid-generation Xbox.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or the next generation of console that they're going to make.
Yeah.
Because just the timing of when they said it was while they were kind of talking about, it almost sounded like updating the current series of consoles, but they could have been referring to it as the next generation as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not certain there. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to just one up everything they have now and just make it with more accessible hardware in that. But yeah, they did say as well, I think we've mentioned it already, but Starfield, Indiana Jones were they were two games name dropped, said these games are not going multi-plat. It's these are staying on Xbox. We are not doing anything with these. And from the way it sounded, it's it seems kind of like the PlayStation approach to stuff, where at least that's the vibe I got, where it's they're going to make the games. It's going to be on Xbox for a little while. And then they may look at some of the games being able to go to with Sony, it's mostly PC that it takes a couple years to get to.
Yeah,
but
sure.
kind of that approach where it's okay, we'll have it for a couple years and then we'll let other people play it on something else.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be every game.
Right.
And then it also sounded like some games kind of the smaller games, the games that aren't necessarily meant to be on one console, kind of like Hi-Fi Rush, where that's a game where it exploded out when it came out.
Yeah.
But if it was on everything, it would have been everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But I think games like that, they're going to be more open to releasing everywhere.
Right. With this exciting new hardware that's apparently coming holiday this year, what do you think it is? What do both of you guys think it is? Do you think it's going to be that mid-gen refresh we saw on the roadmap, or do you think it'd be a possible handheld that we saw on the roadmap, or both? Do you think they might do both?
The X Sphere.
All right, now we're dialing into some Drake and Josh things here with the game sphere. Is that what we're kind of feeling here?
No.
It's a combination. It's a sphere that you hold, and it has little indents on the sides where you hold it like that, and it projects outwards.
No, that's not even what I was thinking.
Where are you going with it?
My thing went the VR route. It's a big ass sphere you actually get into, strap
Oh my
into.
God, stop.
Full 360
See,
all around motion.
We went two
Yeah,
different directions,
Yes,
and
we
they're
did.
both just as bad.
Yeah, and when you started describing sphere to to kind of put on whatever, my first thought was what are we about to be like Professor X with Cerebro? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
So, meanwhile, I'm just imagining holding a console here while you look up and
Right.
play.
Yeah, but I mean, do you
the
guys
power of imagination.
exactly? But do you guys think a possible handheld is in the works, or do you think it's just gonna be a mid-gen refresh?
It'll be a mid-gen refresh with some, not a true handheld, but a weird secondary handheld.
Like a PlayStation Portal?
Yeah,
No.
it's gonna be some strange, not natively playing games console.
No.
Like handheld thing that you have to
No.
carry around.
I mean, yeah, I would agree with John's
Yeah,
take
it probably is.
with some sort of offshoot Steam Deck as the Xbox deck.
But it's gonna be touchscreen.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like the Portal. It's literally just the PlayStation Portal, but it's the Xbox Portal.
I don't know what that is.
It's the weird.
Your life is better for not knowing.
It's like a Switch, but you hold it with the controllers on the side. You know how you have you see the little controller that attachment you can put on a phone.
No.
Okay, well it's kind of like a big screen in the middle, like a Switch, but with the controllers on the sides, and it's terrible.
I didn't even know Sony released that.
We've talked about it.
Have we?
Yeah, we talked about it.
I apparently blotted that up from my
This is
memory.
back
This is probably one of the times where you might have fallen asleep. I think. We've talked about it.
I don't remember that.
Mostly when we talked about it was when me and Alex were going on a rant saying it better have all of these features and be this price point to be good, and it had none of the features and it's more expensive.
Yeah, it's
I most definitely fell
$200.
asleep during that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's literally you just take a DualSense, you split it in half, you slap a screen and slap the DualSense on it. And that's what it is. But the thing is, you can't play it natively. It's only like via like
Sony, bring back the PS Vita.
We talked about that. It's possible. That was last episode.
All you gotta do is give me the same weird screen thing you have, but give it all the Vita functionality.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we talked about that last episode. That's apparently in the works.
Oh, man.
That's in the works. So that's something to look at in the future. But no, I mean, if they're going to do a handheld and they just do something like a PlayStation Portal, that's going to be very depressing. I want an Xbox handheld.
Well, no,
don't.
I have a feeling.
do.
I have a feeling that eventually they're gonna make a handheld, but they're gonna want some gimmick thing with their like refresh of the consoles.
Right.
So they're gonna give you some weird handheld thing so you can play it. Because they're like I said, their big thing that they were pushing was play anywhere.
That is true. Play anywhere. John might be onto something. So, okay, so what you're thinking is that the refresh is basically going to come in like a bundle where it's going to be the console and this handheld thing, almost like a Wii U.
Almost like an Xbox Switch.
Xbox Switch or a Wii U, yes, one of the two. Is that the vibe?
You're saying two things that are not good for talking about an updated version of a console.
I don't know what you talk about. That Switch has the manpower of 40 fish.
So look, I'm picturing... Shut up, Zach. So I'm picturing a box, okay? We're going to, our retail box. It's going to come with the refresh console. That's going to be the cylinder thing. So they're really hard committing that you got to stand this thing up. And it's going to come with this, this portal as well as the new controller, whatever it is. That's going to be the exciting hardware. Is that what we're feeling? Is that what's about to happen?
Yeah, it's going to come bundled together.
Yeah.
Or you buy just the console and the controller, and then you have a secondary box that's just that thing for people who want to just buy it.
Okay.
What's the name?
The kicker is it only works with the updated one.
No!
What's the name, John?
That's a great name. What's the name? You're the name guy for the Switch 2. Electric Boogaloo. I mean, you're the name guy.
All I called it was the new Nintendo Switch.
I know, and then we just kept rattling off names. What's the name, John? What's the name for the new Xbox refresh? The Series V, the Series W,
Xfinity.
Series Z, Xfinity. That's a good.
You can't do that. That's trademark.
I just trademark, but it would be great.
No, honestly, they'll probably call it something dumb like X Mobile.
Oh yeah, something stupid.
Because this is going to be the
XP. There you go.
Because this is going to be like the X.
Just call it Vista.
Okay, wait. So this is the updated one. This is.
Stop. Put that in the past. Leave that in the past.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Last generation, we had the Xbox One.
Yes.
But then we had the updated version, which was the Xbox One S. No, S first.
Oh, there was an
and
S.
Then it was,
there was an S.
There was an S.
And then it was
that.
the Xbox One X. So this has got to be the Xbox Series XS.
Or the Xbox Series X1.
No. Xbox Series XS?
See, if you call it the Xbox Series X1 and it comes with the portal thing, that's the one is because it's like everything is in one. You can do everything with this box.
Attach a rocket, you can send it into space.
Xbox Series X squared.
That's also possible. Who knows, man? Look, the portable, I'm calling it. It's going to be called Xbox Series XP for X Portable. That's what it's going to be. I'm calling it right now, XP. That's going to be the name for it. I mean, I would be.
It's going to be something dumb, regardless.
It's going to be something.
Yeah, it's going to be something stupid. I mean, Xbox they have no direction on naming. They're like Nintendo. They have no direction on name. They're just doing their thing.
It's going to be the Xbox Portal.
Xbox, yeah, just straight up, just take a page out of PlayStation.
Yeah, because it's like then they're just gonna have them compete, and then when neither of them sell well, they're gonna blame the other.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be like the Spider-Man, finger point is all it's gonna be. No, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what the exciting hardware is going to be. We saw like the roadmap and stuff. So I'm very, very curious if we're going to see like that handheld, or if it's just going to be like a big midget or this just big combo. So I'm looking forward to that. New controller is supposed to come out sometime this year too. Like the mid-grade controller between the crappy one that comes with the console and then the Elite. There's some that's coming out this year. That's supposed to be announced in the next few months, I think. So I don't know. Diablo 4 is also coming to Game Pass
Yeah.
March 28th.
Yeah.
So that's kind of opening the door for Activision Blizzard games, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they made a big point of saying, like, since that's done, Activision Blizzard games. The only reason they really specified Diablo 4 is it's the only one that is somewhat relevant. But yeah, Blizzard games will, as they make games over the years, would come to Game Pass.
Yeah. Which makes sense. Even though they had one game in development, they got canceled after 4 years of development, whatever it was. I don't remember. Whatever the survival game was that they were working on. So I don't know. I'll be curious. The one thing that I'm still gonna be curious to see eventually is how they're gonna handle anything with let's say Warcraft. On PC. Are they gonna merge that into a PC Game Pass somehow? Similar to how they struck a deal with Riot to get League of Legends on Game Pass and you get all the champion, some bullshit like that. I'm curious if they're going to do something with WoW on, PC Game Pass. That's just going to be, we'll see.
I mean, I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would hurt Blizzard or Xbox if they just give people free crap on their account.
Yeah.
I will say it was funny because when they were talking about, developers coming to Xbox and being able to be successful because of the different models that Xbox offers for people for releases, whether it be free to play, early access, discounted games and stuff like that. Basically on release, for anybody anywhere can play it how they want to. And it's the main game they pointed to for it was Pal World.
Yes.
But having Pal World be able to release in its technically early access period, or game preview as Xbox calls it. It's they pointed it, and then it was funny because when they talked about games being on every system, they did make a point to talk about Call of Duty.
Okay, I would hope so after everything they went through.
Yeah, it's they did. It was they were talking about games on every system, and they were it was kind of like our Call of Duty games.
They're really trying to get that point across. Oh, that's funny. So overall, good podcast though.
I mean, it was
enjoyable.
It was an enjoyable listen, and it was also nice because it was only 35 minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah,
that's a nice
that's
amount.
not bad then. I may actually stop and actually listen to it then at some point. To really get the full context. I meant to. I've had a busy week.
It was kind of thing. It was a shorter. It may have been somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes, somewhere in there, I think.
Okay.
But it was nice because it was kind of we're gonna hit the main points, but we got big people here. It's we got big names at Xbox here, so we can't go long.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you had three of them there. You had Matt Booty, Sarah Vaughn, and Phil Spencer.
Yeah, it was. It was look at all the big names we got, but we got to be quick.